Am I the AO for calling out my husband's co-worker at his corporate party for flirting with him right in front of me? Last weekend, my husband's company held a big corporate party. This was the first time I was meeting his colleagues, so I wanted to make a good impression. Sat down at a table with his team, and everyone seemed nice at first. But as the night went on, I noticed one of his female co-workers across the table glancing at my husband a lot. She kept catching his eyes, holding it a bit too long, and then out of nowhere, she winked at him. I tried to brush it off as some odd coincidence, but when she kept looking over at him, smiling, and then looking away like they had some inside joke. It didn't end there. Some of his co-workers started teasing him, making little remarks like, "You two just can't help yourselves, and don't you miss sitting next to each other every day?" My husband just laughed and shrugged it off, but he didn't exactly try to shut it down either. He tried to ignore it, but every glance she sent his way started to feel like a slap in the face. I even asked him quietly if there was something he needed to tell me, but he insisted it was just office banter and not a big deal. The whole thing came to a head when she got up to get a drink, winked at him again, and one of his friends knocked him, saying, "Looks like someone's eager for some one-on-one time." I was done. I leaned forward and said loudly, "If there's something you two want to share, I'm sure we'll all love to hear it." It got dead silence. She turned red, mumbled something about needing to use the restroom, and left. My husband was furious. She said I embarrassed him, made everyone uncomfortable, and overreacted to harmless fun. He insisted they're just friends. But I feel like her behavior was totally inappropriate, and his refusal to put a stop to it hurts more than anything. Now he's barely speaking to me, and I'm wondering if I went overboard. Am I the AO? What is your take? Kindly put your thoughts down in the comment section. I have a few comments that I screenshotted so that we can listen to what other people have to say regarding the situation. This person said, "The entire table had no respect for her. Seriously, a grown woman winks and carries on in front of the wife. The colleagues feed the beach in front of the wife, and the husband stays silent in front of his wife. This piece of ex-husband has been specially bantering and specially flirting with his work B, and the colleagues are participating. What workplace openly tolerates this special banter, leaving themselves open for harassment and lawsuits? Are they lawyers, tech industrial people, teachers, engineers, professors, government co-workers, government workers? I'm really curious what this man does for a living that would leave him open to gossip and innuendo at his place of employment." Original post, "I'm proud of you for calling them out in front of the table. There are some things most of us don't joke and banter about, and that's the sanity of a marriage. Always remember, a drunk mouth speaks a sober mind. Protect your assets. Don't deposit any inheritance into his joint account. Start planning. If you're young and children aren't involved, I'll personally start planning my exit. Just remember that if you do have children and choose to stay, just know you will be angry the rest of your life. You who he morally is and what he values, and yes, thinks about you. It will eventually leave you or stay and continue to disrespect you. The chances of him finding God or Allah or Buddha and behaving himself are pretty low. The sad thing, your children won't respect you. I'm so sorry for you. You earned the force, and I'm sad to say you've got a lot to think about. And to be honest, I wouldn't give that piece of earth the time of the day if a bomb was set and taken in its man's chair." Original post, start planning and getting your affairs in order. Get tested for STDs. Do not conceive a reconciliation baby. Thank you for speaking up and calling the entire table a shitty, disrespectful people out. You are on a moral high ground, and don't you let anyone tell you otherwise. At best, your husband is a complete jerk. At worst, he's cheating on you, and everyone knows. You will know, which although you might not want to admit it, depending on the answer. It's quite possible that it's some sort of silly joke around his office, but even if that's the case, your husband should have shut it down. We say, hey guys, it's funny in the office because we all know where it comes from. But my wife isn't in on the joke, so let us tone it down. Your husband wasn't hugely disrespectful towards you, and depending on the joke and whether they thought you were in on it or not, so we're all his colleagues. Owed an apology at the very least. All right, my own take. I feel like that is one thing they do in the office, and when she's not there, because this is the very first time she's joining them in the gathering, so I'm very sure this is not the first gathering they are having in the office, or even after work, that they will gather friends and colleagues, sit together and have drinks and eat and all of that. So it's a normal thing. That is why the friends and the colleagues, they have the audacity to say something like that in front of the wife with no respect, right? And let me tell you something, even if they want to have respect, because of there's alcohol, some of them might not be able to hold on. Alcohol might not allow some of them to hold their thoughts in them, so they will just say so many things that they're not supposed to say regarding the wife there or not, right? So for them to have the audacity to say something like that is because that is what they normally do, and that is what normally happens. If the wife wasn't there, of course the girl would have come over to sit with him, and they would drink, have a good night, and maybe go do, a quickie somewhere, right? So it's a normal thing that they do in the office, and they know that the man does it like that, right? So it is normal for them. And if it was not normal, when he noticed something like that and the friend had to even speak up like that, he should have shut it off, because he respected his wife, and just be like, no, this is no joke, I'm not joking, my wife is here, you don't have to say this, there's nothing going, just stop the whole conversation and caution the girl as well. But then you don't have respect for your wife, you don't have respect for anything, and you're just encouraging and allowing something like that to continue to go on in the presence of your wife. I feel like for you to even do it in the presence of your wife, meaning that I cannot imagine what you would do at her absence, and that is just total BS. And now you want to gaslight her because she actually called out the BS that was going on. And that is what most of them do. They're going to gaslight you and say you embarrass them. They'll stop taking you for any gathering in the office anymore because you embarrass the friends and all of that. Why won't you embarrass the friend? Why won't you say that? Because none of the friends want to act like they have sense, or none of the colleagues are acting like they have sense. So you have to call them down, which I like the fact that she did that, and that shows that she's no joke for any of that, and she can't take that, right? But then the husband is going to gaslight her by not talking to her to make her feel like she has done something wrong, whereas he's the one that has done something really wrong, but then he's not seeing anything wrong in this. I kind of agree with the first comment that I read that was like, try to plan your exits, don't do any joint account, I don't have any baby for him if you don't have baby, and if you have already, you don't have again. If you have already, try to plan your exits, because there's some things you might not know about him that you might have found out that night, which is he's a cheater, right? And if you're living with a cheater, you know that you're going to be exposed to STD, you're going to be also exposed to heartbreak and all of that, and you can easily get disrespected at any given time of the day. So if you're not ready for that, and of course you cannot be ready for that if you love yourself, you have to plan your exit and get out of that marriage immediately. What is your take on this? What is your advice you have to give for her? Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section. Respectfully, it's your girl Maya Davis. I thank you so much for tuning in today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next Ready Trade.